FS1 is your destination for the day's best sports shows. Tune in for the biggest personalities on the biggest stories, and don't miss us on The Herd weekdays at 12 Eastern. Catch it all right here Monday through Friday on FS1.
Perfect holiday gift. The original Untuckit shirt, Untuckit.com, code HERD, 20% off, Untuckit.com, code HERD. Played a decade and a half, Super Bowl, Pro Bowler. Trent Dilfer, Be the Coward Global Satellite Network's joining us. All right, Washington kept franchise tagging Kirk Cousins. Vikings needed a quarterback, said we're going to move off Case Keenum. We're going to bring in Kirk Cousins. I'm watching last night, Trent. Sometimes I think they missed Case Keenum. What went wrong in this deal?
Well, I think a lot went wrong. I think the starting point is that obviously, and I think most people believe this is time, the Vikings overpaid for Kirk Cousins, but it's what the market was dictating at the time. Kirk had good timing in the whole process. Therefore, he gets overpaid, say 20, 30%. But I think there's a bigger issue going on. And it's how when the Vikings were looking at a new quarterback, to upgrade a quarterback in Minnesota, misevaluating who Kirk Cousins was. We know Mike Zimmer is an old school defensive-centric coach. He's going to want to run the ball at a high volume. He's going to want his quarterback to move the chains on critical downs and then obviously finish drives in the red zone. That's not who Kirk Cousins was in Washington. Kirk Cousins is a volume passer. He's a guy that thrived on early downs, not late downs. He thrived in the middle of games, not at the end of halves, at the end of games. He's a guy that is a stat junkie. That's not his fault, but he was a product of a lot of early down passes, schemes that fit his talent level and allowed him to be really successful. The Vikings misevaluated the type of player he is, so now you get stuck in this situation where Zimmer is forcing his coordinator to call more runs. Therefore, you're going to have more must-pass situations where Tom Brady thrives, and Aaron Rodgers thrives, and Phillip Rivers thrives, Drew Brees thrives, but not where Kirk Cousins thrives. So it was really the misevaluation of the Vikings, and they overpaid for him, and it's making Kirk look like a shell of what he really is. Whereas if you had a coach that understood who he was, then you'd be more of a volume pass team, which, by the way, they were early. You would highlight your best players on the team, Thielen, Diggs, Rudolph, and you would be a more 65-35 pass run team. But that's not who Zimmer wants to be, and that's not what Kirk Cousins does well.
Okay, let's shift it.
More must-pass situations where Tom Brady thrives, and Aaron Rodgers thrives, and Phillip Rivers thrives, Drew Brees thrives, but not where Kirk Cousins thrives. So it was really the misevaluation of the Vikings, and they overpaid for him, and it's making Kirk look like a shell of what he really is. Whereas if you had a coach that understood who he was, then you'd be more of a volume pass team, which, by the way, they were early. You would highlight your best players on the team, Thielen, Diggs, Rudolph, and you would be a more 65-35 pass run team. But that's not who Zimmer wants to see. 52 men on the roster can be rewarded as they should. Because right now, when you overpay for a quarterback, you're affecting 4 to 6 other guys that should be getting rewarded for their efforts, and they're really not.
I swear to God, I had this conversation with a buddy 2 nights ago. We had the same conversation, is that if you separated the quarterback, I don't like franchise tags either for quarterbacks. It traps them. Okay, no. Aaron Rodgers, you run the organization tomorrow. What kind of coach do you give him? Do you give him any pull? Should he have a say in the hire?
He should not have a say in the hire. But as an organization, you should understand Aaron well enough now over time to know what kind of coach will fit his personality, will get the most from him. You can never empower one player that much. I guarantee you Bill Belichick has not consulted with Tom Brady on very many decisions, big global decisions. You don't ever want to give a player that type of status. It will separate him from the rest of the team. It'll alienate him from the rest of the team because now the team's wondering, does he have a say in my being here or not? So it breaks that trust. For Aaron, it's pretty simple. I said this, I think, a week or two when we talked about it. It's a guy that's going to demand a ton from Aaron. That's going to come in day one and say, listen, you're already one of the greatest ever, but I'm going to push you to tap into every single thing that's in your soul to bring out even more in you. I'm going to challenge you every single day to be better, and I'm going to coach you hard, and I'm going to be honest with you when you mess up. And I will hold you to the same standard as I hold everybody else on this team to. You give Aaron that type of guy, and he's going to respond. Why do I know that? Because that's what Jeff Tedford did for him at Cal, and that's what Mike McCarthy did his first years in Green Bay. But over time, Aaron began to get treated differently, and Aaron began to have a little more say than maybe he deserves to have. And what happens is it erodes your team, it erodes the trust level. So a strong person that can come in there and have that conversation with Aaron, I think Aaron will respond great to, and I think you'll see him have multiple MVP seasons if they find that guy.
Mike McCarthy got run mid-season after a bad year. Mike Tomlin, Steelers are unraveling again and underachieving. Is it fair to say Mike Tomlin should be retained, or should he, like McCarthy, should there be rumors swirling? Is it time to make a move?
No, I think it's fair. I think when you underachieve, which definitely the Steelers are, it is fair. I think when drama